If you rely on crowd work in order to have a decent set, then I highly doubt your abilities as a stand-up.
I'm not gonna rely on crowd work at this point in stand-up because I want to still work on jokes.
I see more joke clips now than I do crowd work clips, which I'm happy about personally.
In my mind, if someone says, oh, I can do 15 minutes, it's 5 minutes of written material and they stretch it out to 15 because they're lollygagging in the crowd. It definitely takes skill to do crowd work. If your entire set hinges on it, then yeah, I agree, not interested.
Are you afraid to go against the audience?
Yes, right now. But and I'll give you an example.
I love this now. When a crowd goes, like, why would you say that? I just go right at him. I'm like, unclench your. We're gonna move right along to another segment that we absolutely love here, and sometimes you love it, and sometimes you hate it, ladies and gentlemen. In these Comedy Skreets. Week to week, Dante and myself find something interesting in the world of comedy that's being discussed either on Reddit, on Facebook, Twitter, in general online, that relates to the world of comedy, and we give our 2 cents. And this week is no different. We go right back to Reddit, even though last week I said we're not gonna do Reddit next week. That's a bold-faced lie, because there's just a lot of consistent comedy conversation being had there. I checked Facebook today. I checked some of the comedy groups on Facebook. I didn't really find anything interesting. We're looking. Shout outs to Reddit. Weird statement for me to make. Yes. So posted on r/standup. If you rely, it was posted by Efficient Afternoon 17. Okay. If you rely on crowd work in order to have a decent set, then I highly doubt your abilities as a stand-up. Going at you, crowd work goofs. All right, and this is the actual body of the text. It just feels like a cop-out for people who don't understand how to write a joke that's properly structured and makes sense, quote unquote. So where did you guys meet? What do you guys do for a living? Did you get dressed in the dark before you left, or was that the coordinated effort? What's your favorite kind of food? The happened to going to a comedy show and actually hearing jokes with the right delivery, cadence, and punchlines. I don't even know if this person's a comic, but kudos to you. Yes. Before I go on my rant about this, let's start with Dante and his nice, calm, delivered approach. What do you think?
Yeah, relying on crowd work. I mean, okay. There are some comedians that are really good at crowd work.
Yeah, we brought this up before. There are crowd work comedians.
There are crowd work comedians. But I still do think even with crowd work comedians, a lot of that stuff is like pre-written, you know? Sometimes, like, I'm not saying they're like planted audience members.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what jokes you have in the bag for certain situations.
Yeah, or you should at least have jokes in a bag.
But I'm saying crowd work jokes. Like, because people think, oh, it's just off the
cuff.
easy.
Yeah, you have
you got your quick draws, you know?
I do have my favorites.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny that you say that? I don't think I've done any of them in a long time. Which is good to me. That makes me happy, like just hearing that.
Yeah.
If you don't know what he's talking about, like, well, I think for me, the first example of this was when I brought this up on the podcast before, I'm sure. Louis C.K. live at the Beacon Theater. And he did a riff. He did what seemed like a riff. And it wasn't until I started doing comedy that I really clued in. I'm like, not all of that was planned. And it all just felt so conversational.
Yeah.
Like, so he had that little riff in the bag.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
So, I mean, that's fine. But I also do believe you gotta have jokes.
Yes, that's the name of the day.
You gotta have jokes, and you gotta be able to have good delivery. You gotta have the cadence. You gotta have punchlines.
Who are these punchlines?
Who are these punchlines? You know? So I agree. Like, especially if you're new and then you're like, I can do 30 minutes, but then like 20 minutes of that is just crowd work and wasting everybody's time. That doesn't help anybody.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here, because not that you say that directly, but sometimes you give off that energy.
Who, me?
Yeah. Sometimes that energy, not that you like, you definitely know how much time you got because you talk about it all the time. You're like, I only got this and I'm working on doing like a 10. But what I mean is sometimes, at least to me, you sound like you think you're further than you are.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think. Okay. How?
And just in terms
in
of
what way? I'm still at 5 minutes. I'm still tightening up my 5.
I know, but it's not. I'm not saying it in terms of like you're very aware of how much time you can do. But it's just the way which I'm not, and the reason I don't bring it up is because I know what, like, you should feel this way about yourself and you should gas yourself up. But I almost wonder at times, I'm like, are you doing yourself a disservice by making yourself think you're ahead or better than where you are?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm overestimating my skill level.
But I also know you get like, and everybody gasses themselves up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure to anybody, I'm not as funny as I claim to be.
I do feel I do overgas myself as like a goof a lot of the time.
Yeah, see, I feel like it's a personality trait. That's why I never be like.
But like, I also know, like I said, I didn't even have tools to do the work. When you shows work, I'm like, I don't even have my shovel to dig. Like, so like, I know, like I've been focusing on writing jokes.
Yeah.
Right. And practicing those jokes, but I'm still working on them. So like, I'm not going to rely on crowd work at this point in stand up because I want to still work on jokes. Yes. But to that same point, like I said, when I do a proper show and now I can't really interact with the crowd because I'm not comfortable with doing that.
Yeah.
That is a skill that now I know is at like 0. You know, I gotta put some skill points into talking to the crowd and, you know, connecting with them a little bit more.
It's definitely worse now. I don't even want to just say because of like social media, but clearly like that's the number one thing. It's like the crowd work clips that started blowing up for comics. And then it just got so oversaturated that I think we're at the opposite end now. You're seeing less crowd work clips. At least I am. My algorithm's not feeding them to me as much.
Bless your algorithm.
I'm on comedy pages though, and I see more joke clips now than I do crowd work clips.
That's fair.
Which I'm happy about personally. Because it was getting too much. And then like you would show up to a show and people were there to get for crowd work clips. I'm like, what the?
Well, not only were the comics there for crowd work clips, but the audience is also there for
to
crowd
participate
work.
in a crowd work clip.
No, but
hopefully I'll be in one.
Yeah, exactly. They just think, well, they're funny. I can just say, I can just yell out in the middle of their set.
This goes
crowd
back.
Work.
To me, this ties in with the, which we talked about. Go check out on the channel this clip where Bill Burr is discussing why analytics ruined comedy. This just goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah.
It's exactly why, like, people go in to a show now with the mindset of analytics in the back of their mind.
Yeah.
Like, how can I siphon as much content out of this experience and what will feed the algorithm and get me seen and all this crap.
Yeah. So there's that side of the thing where it's like, yeah, you're doing the crowd work because you know you can just farm it because it's evergreen, basically. Yeah. As long as you're doing shows, you can farm crowd work clips. But also, in my mind, if someone says, oh, I can do 15 minutes, but it's not 15 minutes of written material.
Correct.
It's 5 minutes of written material, and they stretch it out to 15 because they're lollygagging in the crowd.
That used to be a trick of mine, and then I got good. Just like, it just takes time, man. But you know what? At the same time, like, we're saying these things, and I'm still, I still get the process. Mm-hmm. So I didn't come up this day. I started 14 years ago where we weren't worried about these things when I started. Yeah. It started becoming prevalent as I was already established, at least in my scene, not in the world, but in my scene. And I had a better understanding of my voice and comedy and all that stuff. I do feel for a person getting into it now, especially if they have like the love of like pure comedy in their heart, but they don't really know. Like, I can imagine how many people do actually care about comedy, but all they know is this modern-ish. Like the modern approach to it.
I would say it depends how old they are. Because like,
well, but no. Because if you're, that's a factor. Yeah. But the game is the game, and it's run by who's in it. So once you get in it, if like everything's YN shit now, like it's like all shit. It's like
this is YN comedy.
Yeah. Everything's just like. It's all for socials and shit.
Yeah.
Like it's not for the stage really. It's for the internet audience.
Yeah, but so that's also why, I mean, because if you have a love the game of comedy, I would assume you've probably watched comedy specials and stuff from the past.
Of course.
Right? But if you're a younger person, you know, you're 13, 14, 15 and you've been on social media since you're a kid.
Yeah.
You know, that's all you've seen, that's all you think stand-up comedy is, then that's how you're going to have a love of the game, but the love of the game that you've seen is stand-up and crowd work clips.
Yeah.
You know?
At the end of the day, I really do agree with this. Like, if you rely on crowd work in order to have a decent set, then I highly doubt your abilities as a stand-up. There are exceptions to the rule, absolutely. There are comics who literally their whole thing is I only do crowd work, and I know some monsters on the stage that do that. There's a few of them.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them. And yeah, I feel like even most of these crowd work clips are being posted by people who want to like be known for comedy, but they're posting the crowd work clips because they know that that's what will boost their engagement or
but then you're known for
whatever.
crowd work, and then you're stuck in this loop of now I'm at a show.
I don't even think you get known for that. Maybe, I guess. Maybe. I feel like it's harder to because everybody's posting it. How do you stand out when everybody's doing it? There'll be a few.
Yeah, but the ones that go ballistic, right?
And then they're just the crowd work guys.
And then they're a crowd work guy. And now everyone that comes to your show is just yelling out random stuff in the middle of your set.
Yeah. Let's read some of these comments before we bounce out of this. What's the timing on the episode? Oh,
30.
Okay.
6.
I will talk to the crowd, but it is usually a question and that it doesn't matter their response that leads to my next joke. Crowd work is its own skill, is what you meant to type, is its own skill, but I think it has gotten a lot more attention lately with the short clips in social media. Bingo. Go ahead.
It definitely takes skill to do crowd work, but if your entire set hinges on it, then yeah, I agree, not interested. I've seen comedians use crowd work creatively too. Like once a guy's set wasn't doing too well, he wasn't necessarily bombing, but people just didn't seem into it or focused and having side convos. He did a bit of crowd work to get the focus back on him, then finished his set. That was that's the kind of skill that I was talking about.
Yeah, that's a skill.
You know, like I need to go like, hey, eyes up here, you know, or whatever, and
just be comfortable calling people out.
Yeah,
which it sounds easier than it is.
Oh, it's freaky.
Like for me, it's easy because I've always been a bombastic person. But like, easy to do it. Hard to actually get the nuance of it.
Yeah.
It was easy for me to just like, hey, but it was awkward when I first started. You know what I mean? But do you feel like it's at least easy for you to just try it, or is there some social awkwardness there?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Like, are you afraid to go against the audience?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, okay.
But and I'll give you an example because one of the more recent sets at CFTA, there's a whole conversation going on in the back, and they're like loud, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't call them out. I gave them the teachers. I'll wait till you guys stop.
Oh, boo!
I know.
Boo! That's big energy.
But no, I didn't even say that. Like I did my jokes, and then like everyone's.
But like, yeah, that's like teacher energy.
Yeah. Because I'm like a non-confrontational guy. Yeah. You know? But so they're just
I can't wait to see that happen. Because you're a non-confrontational guy, so you just like try and flex. What, nigga? Yeah, that's so funny.
Right? But you know, with time,
yeah,
I'll get more comfortable on stage, and then I'll be like,
I did this at a Boston show. One of my jokes kind of went south, like a joke that always works. And I love this now. When a crowd goes, like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
I just go right at him. I'm like, unclench your assholes.
Yeah, I heard you. I literally heard you yelling that.
I'm like, what's wrong with you? I start scolding them because I know this works.
Yeah.
My favorite thing now too is I egg them on. I'm like, bruh, I sit down and I say, if you want me to bomb, I've been doing this for 14 years. I can do that very well.
Yeah.
Most of the times that works.
Yeah.
Because like, it's confidence.
Yeah.
You know, like people read that. Man, but these are all nuances that I've learned over time. You know what I mean? It's just over time.
Yep.
But ultimately, bro, it's the same reason that people online can get into the Super Bowl without a ticket. You can get anywhere with confidence. You walk into a place
like you're supposed to
you
be there.
act like you're supposed to be there. You say it like you mean it.
Yep.
Like it can't. Patrice, always go back to Patrice for knowledge, man. But like, he had this great example of using the word bitch.
Yeah.
You have to have the right energy.
You have to have.
I could call a woman a bitch and it'll be great. Like, but we just keep going and she starts laughing and all that stuff. If I'm like, yo, bitch, what's up? Da, da, da. But if I'm like, yo, bitch, like if you approach it the wrong, mother, what the, da, 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 you know, and you deserve that.
Yep.
Because it's all about the approach.
Yep.
And that just is a nuance, man. It's you just got to do it to figure it out. And I love that.
Yep.
I love the fact that I have. It's not even a matter of earned because the audience doesn't know.
No, they don't know.
No, but what I'm saying is the audience doesn't know how good you are. Only you do. Once you start really believing in the ability.
Yeah.
It's like a boost and like without ego.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know what I'm capable of. So I'm really like, I'm not at the point now where I start scolding a crowd. It's not because I'm bombing. I'm like, bruh, pick it up.
Yeah.
You guys are, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I figured out how to get them to understand that.
Exactly.
Without being like, because I used to be like, what the is wrong? Like,
yeah. And
then you just lose the crowd. And they're like, okay, well, you were funny, but you're an asshole.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like, I love this. I love comedy so much. All right, that's gonna be it for Indies Comedy Skreets, ladies and gentlemen. Go check out the other ones on the channel. We have some really fun conversations week to week about this.
Hey, it's Hen Dog.
Black Zeus the Podcast Season 6, featuring Black Zeus and Dante, aka Black Zeus on YouTube, Patreon, and Instagram.